Surah An-Nahl of the Quran, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala declares, and we sent down the book, yani the Quran, on thee, O Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, that this book might explain all things. Did you hear that? That this book might explain all things. And therefore that this book might explain the strange economy around the world today, in which wealth no longer circulates through the economy, in which the rich are now permanently rich, forever and ever and ever, and the poor are now imprisoned in permanent poverty forever and ever and ever. This book will explain it. This book will explain that strange economy in which the rich grow ever richer and the masses around the world are now being imprisoned in a new slavery. This book will explain it. And in this book there is guidance. How do we respond to that strange world out there? That explanation and that guidance have come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as rahmah. And for those who have the good sense and the wisdom to go search for it through the hours of the night, with tears in their eyes and tears in their heart. And when they find it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses them with it. They accept it and they embrace it and they apply it regardless of the price they have to pay. Bushra lahum, good news and glad tidings for such people. They will understand what others cannot, not even with a PhD from the London School of Economics. They will understand what others cannot, and they will succeed when others will not. When the value of paper falls, then prices rise. The rise in prices is called inflation. But the rise in prices does not occur for any other reason than the falling value of paper. When once we remove paper money and we replace it with sunnah money, which has intrinsic value, then there will be no more inflation. Shall we stop now? Okay. So I got my salary in paper. It could buy a camel. Took it home, gave it to my wife, put it away. 5 years later, take it out, can't buy a camel anymore, can only buy a donkey now. Did you hear that? Can only buy a donkey now. My 1 month of sweat is now reduced. Only 2 weeks have been kept in the money. And 2 weeks of my sweat has disappeared. Is this permissible in Islam?
Where's our money?
I don't know.
The people here really aren't in charge.
I guess you win.
We want our money back.
Capitalism offers people the freedom to choose where they work.
There isn't anything in here. I'm not going to be a gentleman's club hired dancer.
We're here to get the money back for the American people. I got more bags. 10 billion probably won't fit in here.
Had it been Malcolm would have asked, who took my money? And how did they take it? And then it would have become clear that my loss was somebody else's gain. Let me repeat that. When my money could no longer buy a camel, it could only buy a donkey. The value of my labor has been diminished by half. My loss was somebody else's gain. Five years later, when I take it out, can't buy a donkey anymore. Can only buy a goat now. And so my 1 month has now been diminished to 1 week. If this keeps on going on, I'm going to be enslaved. A new slavery will come upon the world if this keeps on going on like this. Surely it was time for the Ummah of Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam to stop fighting amongst themselves over popcorn. Because that's what they're doing. Fighting over popcorn. While this massive betrayal of Islam is taking place, and we are blissfully ignorant of it. That's the price we pay. When we only have scholarship, but no news. 5 years later, when you take out that money, can't buy a goat anymore. You can only buy chicken and chips. That's where Indonesia is now. That is where Indonesia is now, chicken and chips. That's where Turkey is now, chicken and chips. Yes. And still we're fighting over popcorn. If you're 17 years of age tonight, son and daughter, this lecture is for you. They've been fighting over popcorn. While the slavery has come upon us. I worked for the whole month. I got my salary in gold. Could buy a camel. Took it home. Put it underneath the pillow. Took it out after 5 years. You could still buy the camel. 10 years, you could still buy the camel. But when I get my salary in paper now, could buy a camel, take it home, put it underneath the pillow. A few years later, when I take it out, can't buy a camel anymore. Can only buy a jackass now. So now I'm beginning to feel like a jackass because someone has ripped me off. Where did my money go? If you could answer that question, where did your money go? Who took your money? And how did they take your money? You would understand the game that they're playing. We used to have men like that. In North America, we had one Islamic scholar who was like that, and then they killed him. a man named Malcolm X. He didn't have a PhD from Al-Azhar, but he could see better than any sheikh. Who took my money? And how did they take him? Did they take it?
But there's a reason. There's a reason. There's a reason for this. There's a reason education sucks, and it's the same reason that it will never, ever, ever be fixed. It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The big, the wealthy, the real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. They're irrelevant. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets, and they own all the big media news, all the big media companies. So they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls.
The dollar falling again against the euro today after that weak new home sale. The Dow Jones is up 105 points. This on a day when oil was up to a new time high of 96.
Realized inflation was running at 0.8%. Now, there's no way that's true. If the government was accurately reporting inflation, we would know we're in a recession.
I got about 30 seconds or so, but I want to get your take on how much lower you think the markets can go right now.
We think that the markets can decline 50 or 60%. We hate to say something so somber, but it's not the time to be optimistic or pessimistic. It's the time to be realistic. Our whole system has been built on credit expansion. We have to grow credit year over year in order to keep the economy growing. The economy is not going to grow. It's going to suffer recession, and once it enters recession, it's going to cascade on itself.
But what counts is not how many dollars we have, but what those dollars are worth and what we can buy with them. And the dollar is becoming less valuable every day. And based on our economy, our huge current account, our huge trade deficits, our lack of domestic manufacturing, our lack of domestic savings, there's only one thing the dollar can do, and that's go down. People who have saved, they're being robbed.